Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of You Ought to Know Live, seen and heard live every single Tuesday evening, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And I'm Dave Serio, your host, the host of the radio program You Ought to Know. And with me, two of my best friends from the automotive industry. What do I just say this? Two of my best friends. Heck with that automotive industry stuff. They're just two of my best friends. Got Mike Lambert from the Shine Shop, Jose Bueso. He is from Dynamic Automotive. He's the Dynamic singular tonight, no duo tonight. So let me tell you a little bit about my radio program, and then we will get to the interviews real quick. My radio show is seen and heard every Saturday morning. It starts at 7 o'clock. From 7 to 8, we are on Q1370 AM in Baltimore, and that also simulcasts on 99.9 FM, and that's heard in Harford County and also White Marsh and Essex, Maryland. That's every Saturday morning, 7 to 8. Then we go to the sister station of Q1370, the big boy, the 50,000 watter. That's AM 680 WCBM in Baltimore. There for 2 hours every Saturday morning from 8 to 10. And then from 11 to 12, we're on WFMD in Frederick. That's Free Talk 930 WFMD. You can see and hear the show. That's right, video and audio streaming on the web at DaveSerio.com. So that's live every Saturday morning, 7 a.m. until noon, DaveSerio.com. Let us go to Mr. Michael Lambert. Michael Lambert from the Shine Shop, how are you, sir?
Good evening, Dave. How are you?
Very good, sir. So you went over to a gentleman's collection today to work on just one car for him?
Yes, 1954 Bentley Model R, left-hand drive. They only made 23 of those out of the 200 total was made. Right. Interesting car because the original owner was the last emperor of Vietnam.
Wow.
So the car's got a pretty interesting history, and he was invited to go to the Hershey Concourse next month, so he wanted it taken care of, so it'll look good when he gets there.
Very good. Is that a two-door or a four-door?
A two-door coupe.
Coupe. All right. Yes.
As they say.
Just like what I was thinking of wearing, a coupe. Yes. Very good. Sounds like a nice car.
Yeah,
And,
I have some pictures up next week. We didn't have a chance to get them on the computer today, so.
All right. Do you have any pictures from last week up on the computer?
No, we don't. Sorry.
Okay. All right. No problem. So what else?
Because of the weather. So.
What's that now?
We're all running late because of the weather.
Yeah, we had this thunderstorms come through too. Jose got his up there in the Urbana area and Liberty Town area and all around there. He got his a little bit before us, but I called him. His was ending and mine was just beginning. On our way from Bel Air, Forest Hill. People drive like nuts. Now, I do too, but I'm the nut that just keeps on going. I drive. But, there's people pulling over. It's a very tough rain to see through. So they pull over or they stop in the middle of the road.
Yep.
What a better way to get hit, Amazing. So tell us a little bit about, we have not talked about C-Quartz in a while, meaning that, we mention it, but we don't really talk about what C-Quartz is. So while we have the folks here, let's talk about C-Quartz and what C-Quartz does for your automobile.
C-Quartz, there's three different C-Quartz. C-Quartz, there's a regular C-Quartz, there's C-Quartz UK, and then what we install is called C-Quartz Finest. They're in a category of products that are flooding the market now called semi-permanent coatings. There's even one company that calls theirs a permanent coating. But it's just a matter of different terminology because the paint on your car is not a permanent coating. I can take it off. Yep. So it's just different words. And what they are is they're made out of ceramic. Most of them are made out of ceramics and some of the materials that are found in the glass of the car. And they actually chemically bond to the paint of your car instead of sitting on top like a wax or a sealant. Okay. So the benefits of that is durability in the years versus months or weeks. And it also really enhances the gloss of the car. So the big trick about them is, because some of the dealers are starting to offer these now, and the big trick with coatings is preparation. You need to really polish the car to as close to perfection as you can, because these coatings will just magnify any defects that are left. So that's what the big expense is in coatings, because they are significantly more expensive than having your car waxed. Minimum of $200 plus the detail.
Right.
So that's what they are. But the big thing is they're really resistant to stains and water spotting, and they increase the resistance to scratching because they're so hard.
Right.
So that's the big benefit, and I really think that's the way that the detailing industry is going. You're never going to get away from their traditional waxes or anything like that, but coatings is the big thing that's coming out now, and there's just so many more companies trying to flood the market with them.
Well, I'm telling you right now, I'm getting away from the traditional waxes after you've done 3 of my automobiles, and as soon as the Pantera paint is old enough and cured enough to do it, that'll be coming over to you too.
Yeah, we're starting to see some customers come back. We do maintenance details. As a matter of fact, I have one tomorrow on a gentleman I did 6 months ago. And what we do is we bring the car in and we do a full interior detail, and then we give it a real thorough washing and check for any stains or scratching in the coating, and we take care of that and recoat any areas we need to. But we're seeing them come back now after I've done them a year and a half to 2 years ago. And when you go to wash the car, it just speeds up like you just did it yesterday.
I just washed mine. Yeah, just the 2013 Viper, and it just looks perfect. Yeah.
It's very minimal maintenance to it. We give you a bottle for the Seacort's Finest. We give you a bottle of their spray detailer, and every couple of months, just give it a spritz while you're drying the car off. That's all you need to do. You pretty much wash it when it's dirty.
I haven't even done that yet, but I still have the containers in the garage, so I will have to do that. I'm going to wash the 2013 Viper because I didn't get under the hood. I forgot to get under the hood when I washed it last week because I'd gone through that dirt road, and I didn't realize when I opened up my hood, it needed to be done. The wheel wells were all covered with dirt. Yep.
But I mean, and basically the spray detailer is for the Americans because the Americans like to have their paint feel slippery and beat up in the rain. Mm-hmm. Coatings weren't designed for that. Coatings were designed to have the water sheet off the car as quickly as possible. They don't have to feel smooth, but we as Americans like to see little tiny water beads, and we like the paint to feel smooth. So,
I like to see little tiny water beads run off my car while I'm driving.
Yeah.
I think that's neat.
Which is why companies like Meguiar's don't have a coating available here because their big deal is with coatings is strictly to remove the water from the car, which brings the dirt with it, so you don't have the water spotting and things like that. And they feel that it would just take too much time to re-educate the public as far as what a coating is. So they have coatings in Asia and things like that, but not here.
Let's hope that they're not making a mistake there because they could be behind the loop.
Well, like I said, they have their coatings in Europe and Asia.
Right.
Eventually, they'll bring something here for professional use, but I don't think you'll ever see it retail. There's a lot of coatings on the market that are available to the retail customer. There's only two coatings, Seacort's Finest being one of them, that are only available to the detailers that have proven that they can polish paint to a high standard for that fact.
Well, I'm happy you did my 3 cars. They all look better. It's amazing. It's a great product, and if you care for your car, hey, it's the least you can do.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I mean, they all came out pretty much for the daily driver, but I'm doing a lot of higher end cars, and toys, just because of the way they make the car look, and there's really no maintenance to keeping them up. So
I like it all.
Yep.
Very good. Mike, give out your phone number so people can contact you for appointments, and also I know you have your your website information on your lower third, but also give that out if you will.
The phone number is 410-833-1632, and we're always happy to answer questions. We get a lot of your listeners call, and they're really nice people, so it's been real interesting to talk to them. And the website's theshineshopAutodetailing.com, and if you want to email me, my email address is on there too.
Great. Well, hold on one second. We'll be back with you just a little bit. Okay, buddy?
Sure.
All right. We've got Mr. Jose. What's going on here? I clicked on Jose, and it did something strange. There we go. Hey, Jose, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you, Dave?
Good. Jose is one of the partners of Dynamic Automotive. There are 3 locations of Dynamic Automotive, which, of course, we'll let you talk about in just one second. Have you been as busy as we have?
Yes, we've got a lot of work pouring in the door right now. We've got plenty of AC work and regular maintenance work. We've got a Chevy truck that has a transfer case that has gone kablooey on us.
Okay.
We're going to be rebuilding that tomorrow.
By the way, folks, that is the technical professional term, kablooey.
Kablooey, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I was trained, educated.
Jasper has those remanufactured.
Yes, yeah. I think that this one will be very overhaulable for us.
Okay.
So it should be. If it is really hand grenaded inside, we may have to go that route.
Mm-hmm.
But we're suspecting that the pump has failed.
Okay.
So hopefully we can repair that. And we've also got a Dodge Sprinter van, which is not really a Dodge. It's a Mercedes.
No, it's Mercedes, and that's all you have to say. Oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah,
those things. Oh,
this particular one does need a lot of work. It needs a catalytic converter. The flex pipe has separated from the converter, so we've got to replace the assembly there. The tailpipe has rotted off, so because the system is all welded together, he is also looking at a cat-back exhaust system. Right. You cannot get these systems aftermarket. They have to come from a Mercedes.
Wow.
Yeah, he needs that support bearing, suspension work, and unfortunately he has what we call spoilers inside the intake that have suffered, and as it turns out, he's going to have to replace both intakes. This engine has two intakes, one for the right bank, one for the left bank, and he's looking at replacing the intakes, which have these valves, these spoilers within.
How long has he had this truck?
He just acquired this truck.
Wow.
Bought it at an auction for
I'd be going to another auction and just get rid of that thing.
Yeah, he spent good money on this. I mean, he did not get it cheap, and unfortunately, it's going to be very expensive to fix now.
Wow, that's a shame.
Wow.
Well, hopefully, it's a work vehicle that he'll be able to make some money on, and if he gets it back on the road. But I'm telling you, they are dreadful. They are dreadful.
You know, I thought that this would have a conventional truck frame underneath with a truck drivetrain. It's a unibody construction with the cradle up front, and the differential looks rather light. It looks like a half-ton differential. So I'm just wondering about the duty, the durability, and the level of work that this van can truly provide.
Well, I can tell you, when it comes to wintertime, they are unbelievably dreadful. Those rear-wheel drive, light in the rear, they're worse than just regular vans that we've known and loved, the EconoLines. They're worse than that. And I didn't think you could get worse than that, you know? I mean, when those things are empty, you don't go. But these things, they're terrible. I'm telling you, they're horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see how that one turns out. But, yeah, we do have a lot of work in here. All three shops are very busy right now. I was over at the Urbana location, and every stall was filled with work. So we're rocking and rolling.
Very good. Let's get it while we can.
Yep, this is the season. Yep, vacation time is rolling up, and a lot of people are bringing in their vehicles to prep for their trips. And we do have a lot of people who take their vacations in their vehicles. They're not flying here and there. They're driving here and there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, give us information on the 3 locations of Dynamic Automotive so people can pay you a visit.
Sure. I'm at the Libertytown location, and you can reach me at 301-694-6250. We're right here in beautiful downtown Libertytown on Main Street, and our first location is in Newmarket. That phone number is 301-694-5460. You'll talk to my partner, Lee Foreman, and Sarah over there at that location. That's a smaller shop, but they do, believe it or not, they do more work than we do over here, being in the bigger shop. They're churning it out over there. The third location is in Urbana, Maryland, right off of 270. That's got a hefty 9-bay shop and a soft cloth 60-foot car wash that Mike absolutely loves. And we have a full-service quick lube facility up front, and I got a great team of guys up there that they do fantastic work. If you want to get in and out with an oil change or a BG service, we can perform that type of service for you in a jiffy minute and get you in and out.
Very good.
That phone number over there is 301-874-8833, and you'll talk to Big Bobby Allen, and one day we'll get him on the air, and or my other partner.
I don't think you'll get Big Bobby Allen on the air.
Well,
if he was in your building and we couldn't get him then, I don't think you're gonna get him. The only thing we can do is we're gonna try to capture him at the car show. That's what we're gonna try to do.
Yeah, you know, that's a great idea. He's remarkably shy when it comes to radios and advertisements and things like that, but in person, he's just a barrel full of fun.
Yeah, he is a good guy. He is a good guy. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about your car show coming up in August. What are some of the things, with the date you have, and what are some of the things you have scheduled? That's
going to occur August 24th, and we're going to have the Golden Gears Car Club attending. And of course, we're bringing in all kinds of people with exotics, antiques. Amongst them, Dave Serio himself with 3 hot rods, 2 Vipers, and a Pantera. I can't wait to see the Pantera. Michael, you'll be there with your Mopar.
Yes, sir.
And it's always a great time. We'll have a moon bounce over there. Great food, of course. We'll have a lot of raffles and giveaways going on that day. And
is Big Bubba going to be there again from Jasper? I mean, from BG. Is Big Bubba going to be there again from BG?
Yeah. We're going to try and arrange Big Bubba and that demonstration. That's always a lot of fun and informative. We'll have a BG stand there too, and we'll have our own stand. And Michael, I invite you to set up over there if you like. And
I appreciate that. And you have to get a hold of Rod Kraft from McGuire's, because he said he lives right down the street. He'll be more than happy to bring up a tent and a bunch of giveaways.
Great. Yes, definitely. We want McGuire's there also. It's a great day. It's always a lot of fun, and if the weather's fantastic,
let's hope
we'll have a great big crowd over there.
Yeah, actually, as we were talking earlier, with Mike and I were talking earlier, the weather doesn't have to be fantastic. The weather report has to be fantastic.
Right.
If they say it's going to be a nice day, people will show up. If they say it's going to be rainy, and even if you don't get any rain, it's tough. It really is.
Yeah. We're also sponsoring the Great Bathtub Race in Frederick that happens July 4th, and we'll have a bathtub with our logo on it, and that's always a lot of fun. July 4th to watch these guys race their bathtubs in Color Lake, and if you can make that'll be a blast.
Well, I think it's safe to say there's not a whole lot going on in Frederick when bathtub races happen to be the event, right? There you go. That does sound like fun.
Yeah, it is.
And a good advertisement for you, too.
Oh, yeah. This little town is really happening. I mean, it's...
Oh, yeah. Frederick's a great town.
Yeah.
Yep. We're just trying to get WFMD on the map with being able to do the remotes with us. So I'm not going to be on the air live this week either, because of the Mopar Palooza that I'm going to. That's an event that's once a year. It's the biggest Mopar automobile show, I think, on the East Coast. They're expecting somewhere between 400 and 800 cars. I'm not sure exactly how many will be there. Weather forecast looks beautiful. So far, so good. Sunny and, highs in the mid-70s, so that's fantastic. And I'm taking 3 of my Mopar products there. So that should be a lot of fun.
Now, where is that show being held?
That is, I think it's near Upper Marlboro, if I'm not mistaken. It's at a stadium where they play, I think, AAA, maybe it's Bowie or like that. I think it's where they play AAA ball.
Okay.
It must be Bowie.
It's a stadium there. Yeah. I'd have to look up the name of the stadium. It's got some kind of sponsor's name. I can't think of it offhand. but it's at the stadium. We're using the stadium parking lot, so it's a pretty big parking lot there.
Hmm. And you're not going to be on the air.
No, unfortunately not. It's going to be a recorded program. It'll be on the air, but it'll be recorded, and
Okay.
and then we'll be back on the air the next week. But Mopar Palooza, at least the last couple years, has always been on a Sunday, but this year they did a Saturday, so I kind of had no choice in the situation if I wanted to go, because there's no phone lines right there in the stadium parking lot that I could hook into. So with the remote broadcast, we have to have we have to have a phone line, plain old telephone line, but it has to have a phone line. So
Interesting.
yeah. So let's get back to Mr. Mike Lambert for a moment. Mike, do you have any helpful hints for us? I know you've been doing a lot on my AM station in Baltimore, 1370, plus also WCBM and also WFMD. You talked last week about, let's see, what did you talk about last week?
Let's see, on the early show we talked about waxes and sealants and coatings, and on the other shows we talked about doing the test spots.
Yes. Let's go over that again.
Sure.
Many people don't do this, and it is something that is really important. If you're trying a product that you've never used before, or even if it's been sitting on your shelf for a while, things do deteriorate after a period of time. Your recommendation is to do a test spot right on the hood of the vehicle.
Right. We the whole goal is to get your car the way so you're happy with the way it looks. So if you're working on your newer car that you've just got, or you're working on a car that you've never worked on before, or you're helping a friend out or something, or you're using new products, we always recommend, and I do this too on cars I've never seen before, or customers I've never seen before. I always do like a 2-foot by 2-foot section. And I do the whole process on that 2-foot section that I'm thinking about doing on the whole car. So, for example, after the car is washed, I clay the car so it's all ready to go. I tape off a 2-foot section on the hood, and then I'll start with a very light polish, depending on the amount of defects in the paint. I'll start with a really very least aggressive product and see if that works for me. If that achieves the results I'm looking for, then I'll put my wax over top of that. And then I pull the car out in the sun, or I look at it under really bright lights. And if I'm happy with the way that section looks, then you can do that over the whole car, and you haven't wasted hours of your time and pull your car out in the sun and say, man, I really don't like that. I'm not happy with that. So, you cut out a lot of aggravation. Now, if I'm not happy with that spot, then I move to another spot and get a little more aggressive.
Right.
You always start on a fresh section. And then once you dial it in, you just do that over the whole car, and the whole car will come out looking like that spot. So it just saves you a lot of time.
Now, do you find differences at all between the hood, the roof, the trunk, than the side of the car?
Differences as far as I pick the hood. The reason I say the hood, or you can do the trunk lid, it's easier to see.
Yeah. Right.
Because you can look down on it. You get it's just a little easier to work. And then if those sections work there, then it'll certainly work on the rest of the car.
What I meant was, as far as when you're doing a car, let's say you're doing about a 6-year-old or 7-year-old car, and let's say it's a daily driver or it's a commuter car. It's not something that is being held as a collectible and garage kept the whole time. But do you see differences in the paint, in the fading or colors on a hood than you would on the side?
You don't really see much in terms of fading on the modern cars anymore, but you do see you see more water spots, and you see more bird poop stains and tree sap stains and things like that, because that's just where it takes a beating.
Sure.
You may see a little more haziness, not necessarily fading, but haziness because of the sun if it's not being maintained.
Mm-hmm.
And I spend a lot of time on the hood and the trunk lid and the roof, just to really make sure they look as close to perfect as possible, because that's what you see when you walk up on the car.
Right.
So, I mean, not that you try to get away with anything, but the sides of the car really don't attract that much attention, so you really want to give the best impression on what you see when you walk up on the car. Not that we do the same steps all over the car, it's just you really I pay particular attention to the top of the hood. So.
Gotcha. Very good. Well, thank you, Mike. We appreciate you being with us this evening as also, and look forward to talking to you next week.
My pleasure.
All right, hang in there. We'll be right back with you.
Sure.
Mr. Jose Bueso, it's a pleasure having you also. The 3 locations are doing very well. Business is good. But one thing that you do offer, when folks mention my name, Dave Serio, or the radio program You Ought to Know, you give a 10% off their complete service.
Correct. We give a 10% discount on parts and labor whenever You Ought to Know is mentioned or Dave Serio is mentioned. And take advantage of that if you can. Any listeners out there, that does put a dent in your repair bill.
Sure.
And it helps out a lot. It really does. It's also advertised on our website.
Very good. Very good. I appreciate that. And the website, of course, is dynamicautomotive.net.
Correct.
You'll be maybe happy to know, I don't know if you're happy or not, but one of your competitors that was advertising on Free Talk 930 WFMD has decided to stop doing that, Fountaindale Auto Center.
Really?
And, yeah, and I have no idea why, because I know they've been with the station for more than 10 years, and they've been with me for the 10 years. Now I say that, they went through the station. They didn't go through me. So
Right.
They advertised through the station. But, yeah, I was surprised to see that. So that helps me out. I always gave you every bit of referrals. If somebody on the air would ask me, where should I go, I always mentioned Dynamic Automotive. You were always number 1 on the list. But now, since they're gone, I don't have to even worry about somebody saying, what about Fountaindale, you know?
Right, right.
So
And
I was
I did
surprised to see
listen
that.
to the show, and I think you're very generous with your advertisements about Dynamic Automotive, and you mention us often.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Enjoy doing it, and I appreciate your patronage, sir.
I've run across something rather interesting over the weekend. Actually, my brother was asking my partner Dwayne. He's getting a couple of new tires for his car,
Right.
and of course, a rule of thumb for many years for all of us was to put the best tires up front, especially with a front-wheel drive car.
Right.
Well, as it turns out, Michelin has conducted a study, and they recommend putting the best tires on the rear.
Even if you have front-wheel drive.
Even if and their argument is whether or not it's rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive, they stipulate that putting the best tires on the rear will help in traction for the rear end. It's easier to control a car when the front tires are slipping, especially in a front-wheel drive car. Your front tires actually act as rudders, plus they have power, so you
Right.
can gain control of the vehicle easier by turning that steering wheel with the front-wheel drive car. However, if your rear end breaks loose, it's a little bit more difficult for people to handle the rear end breaking loose and taking evasive maneuvers to keep that vehicle under control. So their argument is if you have the better tires in the rear during wet conditions, the tires can channel and manage water, disperse water better than they would normally if they had the poor tread on the rear tires, where they would just slip right out.
Well, let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Yeah,
Let's
go
say you
ahead.
have a front-wheel drive car, and
Yeah.
you take your best tires, you put them on the rear, and you take the tires that aren't as good and you put them on the front. Now, what happens at rotation time? I mean, if you don't rotate those tires off the rear, then your tires will get choppy, as we like to call it, and you're going to need new tires. Would that benefit Michelin if you need new tires?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I don't know if I follow this to be correct. I've driven many front-wheel drive cars. Don't like them. I only own one front-wheel drive car as far for my own use. Everything else I love. I love rear-wheel drive. I mean, I've owned SC400s, SC430s. I have Infiniti G35. I love rear-wheel drive. I love the way they handle. I love the way they drive. Front-wheel drive, I've never had the rear come out of me on a front-wheel drive car. So I don't know. I don't know if I agree with this or not. I'd have a hard time following the concept that Michelin is spewing out.
They're saying that recommended interval for rotation, and now this is not Michelin. This is another
but then you'd be putting the tires that aren't as good back on the rear again.
Right,
so,
right. But they're saying the interval is 5,000 to 8,000 miles. You and I both know that you have to rotate your tires to wear them out more evenly.
Correct.
And that's true. I don't see where you can really go wrong with this, because we're of the old school. We all feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the best tires should be on the front. Although they have a good argument about putting them on the rear. You know?
I guess. But I don't know. It's just bizarre to me. I still think that I'm going to stick with the recommendations on front-wheel drive to have your best tires on the front.
Now, on a rear-wheel drive car, Dave, where would you put your best tires?
I'll be right back, guys.
On the rear. Okay, on the rear.
On the rear. Yeah, I agree. I mean, on a pickup truck, if I get a new set of tires for my truck, they're going on the rear.
Yep. And the other thing is that you don't have to rotate the tires every 7,000 miles on rear-wheel drive. Okay. I mean, I've got a G35 with 2 different size tires. I can't even rotate it. Okay, and never have to worry about choppiness. But front-wheel drive, it's a different ballpark. It really is.
Yeah, different animal altogether.
Yep, and I'm sorry, Michelin, but I can't agree with that. At least from my point of view. I'll tell you an example. I have a woman that owns a front-wheel drive CRV, a 2-wheel drive CRV, and not a common vehicle, by the way. Most of them are 4-wheel drive. But she rotated her tires every 7,000 miles because she would come in for a synthetic oil service, right? And we rotate the tires, do the synthetic oil service at the same time. And she got 91,000 miles out of Hankook 40,000-mile tread warranty tires.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And I got another guy that got 103,000 miles. Now, he put his miles on faster. He put his miles on, I'd say, 2.5 years. She did hers over a 4-year period. 4 years, and not one bit of dry rot, by the way, I want to tell you. Something that I don't believe was... What's that? Hankook. Yep.
Hankook. Yeah.
Very good. I recommend them highly.
Yeah, they put out a good tire. I've had them on one Cadillac that I owned, and they perform very well.
Right. They perform well. They last a long time, and they really are good tires. I've got them on every car that I can put Hankook on. I have Hankook. Now my 2 Vipers and my Challenger, they don't have Hankook because my new Viper and my Challenger have the factory tires. The 2003 Viper, I had to go with Michelin because they were the only manufacturer that made those 2 sizes. I needed front and rear to match. And the Pantera are the same thing. I had to choose between Pirelli and Michelin and went with Michelin. But I didn't do it for any particular reason because I'm not going to wear out either Pirellis or Michelins. They're going to dry rot before I wear them out. Pantera gets maybe 1,000 miles a year on it, so,
Now, Hankook is related to Michelin?
Michelin owns 30% of Hankook. But I don't believe there's any management of any sort or product development that has anything to do with Michelin because they are different tires. Unlike Uniroyal and BF Goodrich that Michelin owns and manufactures. Michelin has nothing to do with the manufacturing of these tires.
I've been having good luck with Cooper tires.
Really, very good.
Yeah, and
that's one thing I didn't have. In Randallstown, I didn't have good luck with them, and that's why I decided to veer away from them. But I have some people in the business really love them.
Yeah, they seem to handle very well in the wet, and they've been wearing. Their endurance is very good. They've been wearing very well over the years. I've been running them on my personal cars as well as the pickup trucks. They do good in the snow. Yeah.
Very good.
And to tell you the truth, I have always liked Michelins. I've still used Michelins from time to time too. It's been an excellent tire in the wet also.
Right. The only thing that has me concerned, and this is a conversation that we had on the radio program live last week, was a customer called up with 28,000 miles on a Michelin tire that was 3.5 years old, and they already have sidewall cracking, dry rot.
I have seen the same thing.
Yeah.
I see a lot of that on the Michelin tires.
Yeah, and
I don't know why. And when I was in the fire department, the new fire engines were coming through with Michelins on them. The first week they had the engines, they switched them all out. They were so hard that the engines were sliding in the rain.
Oh.
Wow.
So they switched they got rid of all the Michelins.
Wow. Wow. What did they switch to?
Firestones.
Okay. Huh.
I guess they were softer,
Yeah.
so it would get some traction. But yeah, I see a lot of sidewall dry rot in relatively new cars.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
We just had a 2010 Hyundai that had Michelin tires on it from the factory, and they had dry rot. 2010. So, what a shame. Well, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Michael, thank you very much for being with us tonight.
No problem. Sorry I had to leave. I had a client dropping off a car.
No problem. We still kept on going with Jose, so it was fine. So, and when a client drops off a car, that's a good thing.
That's right.
What did he drop off?
2014 Mustang.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
All
I did C-Quartz on it 6 months ago, and he's just having it tuned up.
Good. All right. Well, Mike, thank you very much for being with us. Jose, once again, thank you very much. We'll look forward to seeing Todd next week with you, we hope.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be back next week. He had a birthday dinner to go to tonight.
All right. Lots of cake. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm Dave Serio, host of the radio program You Ought to Know. Thank you very much for being with us this evening. If you're watching this on archive, please feel free to join us next Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. live. We're part of the Hangout10.com network, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. Look forward to seeing you next week, next Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. On behalf of Jose Bueso and Michael Lambert, I'm Dave Serio. Have yourself a nice evening, and thank you for watching You Ought to Know Live.